Let me tell you something that might sting a little. If you're falling for how fine he looks, but ignoring how foul his heart is, you're not in love. You're just hypnotized. Beauty fades. Loyalty doesn't. And weak women, they chase the shine, not the soul. Strong women, oh, we see past the jawline and six-pack. We look for a man whose soul doesn't shake when temptation walks by. And if you're still obsessed with looks over loyalty, baby, you're setting yourself up for heartbreak in high definition. You see a man walking into the room, tailored suit, expensive shoes, watch gleaming like it was kissed by the sun, and your heart skips. You're already imagining the captions you'll write when he finally holds your hand in public. But darling, let me wake you up gently, or maybe loudly. That designer label on his chest, it doesn't mean he'll never cheat. That perfume he wears, it doesn't mean he won't lie. The price tag doesn't define his character. It only reflects his closet, not his commitment. Loyalty doesn't wear designer. It wears patience. It wears consistency. It wears invisible armor that stands tall during storms. When life throws its tantrums, when money runs low, when health dips, when mood swings hit like hurricanes. Loyalty doesn't take off running. It doesn't ghost you, doesn't start texting other options, doesn't look for escape in someone else's bed. It stays silent, strong, and unshakable. Let's make it real. You know the couple down the street? He rides a second-hand bike. She works 2 jobs. And they don't post much online. You think they're basic, but what you don't see is how he brings her food when her head hurts. How he walks home from work because he gave her the last $10 0 cents. How she brags about him even when others make fun of his job. That's loyalty. It's not glamorous, but it's rare. It doesn't flex on social media, but it flexes when storms come. And it wins every time. Now flip the coin. Look at the couple flaunting vacations, coordinated outfits, a fairy tale in every photo. Then 2 months later, gone. Breakup, cheating, ghosting. Why? Because the foundation was built on appearance, not anchoring. Beauty fades, hype dies, and when the filters come off, so do the masks. Loyalty isn't in what he buys you, it's in how he shows up when you're at your lowest. When you've gained weight, lost hope, when your anxiety kicks in, or your dreams feel far. He doesn't need a suit to make him noble. His loyalty is stitched into his actions. Does he defend you when you're not around? Does he tell you the truth, even when it's hard? Does he treat your vulnerability like sacred ground, or just a moment to manipulate? Let's go deeper. Loyalty is tested when temptation knocks. It's easy to be loyal when there's no one else around. But what about when his ex texts him at midnight? Or when a minimum A woman slides into his DMs offering validation you forgot to give that week. Weak men fold. Real men don't even entertain the message. You know why? Because loyalty is a muscle. And he's trained it daily. Through discipline, through self-respect, through honoring the bond he promised to protect. Remember this. When a man is truly loyal, he doesn't make you feel anxious. You don't stay up wondering where he is. You don't scroll through his likes like a detective. Your heart feels safe, not suspicious. You don't have to beg for clarity. You breathe in certainty. That's the real luxury. And here's a little reality slap. A man in Gucci can still ghost you. A man in Zara can still guard you like treasure. So stop equating price tags with protection. Stop thinking a rich man is a reliable man. Loyalty can't be bought. It's built. Moment by moment, in silence, in effort, in the little things no one claps for. You want a man who brags about you in rooms you'll never walk into, who shuts down flirtation without needing a reminder, who makes you feel like home, not a hotel room. Loyalty doesn't wear designer, but it shows up when everything else falls apart. Not loud, not flashy, just real. We live in a world where beauty is manufactured. Filters, Facetune, Botox, fake lashes, borrowed confidence. And here's a dangerous truth. You can fall in love with a lie. You can be mesmerized by a man who looks like a dream but will turn your life into a nightmare. Because beauty, it can be faked. But loyalty comes from a place you can't Photoshop. You ever been with someone who looked perfect on the outside, but every day with them felt like a silent war? That's because their outer image was curated, but their soul was corrupted. You were dating a billboard, not a backbone. What good is his handsome face if it turns away the moment you need help? What good is his body if he doesn't know how to hold your heart with care? Look around. The gym guy with abs you could do laundry on, cheating. The CEO with designer watches, lying. The influencer with 500k followers, emotionally unavailable. It's not about how they look, it's about how they love. And love without loyalty is just performance. It's all act, no depth. All surface, no soul. Let's take an everyday example. You meet a man at a cafe. He's charming. His smile could light up the room. His words feel rehearsed but smooth. You're hooked. A few weeks go by. He disappears for hours, hides his phone, flirts with your friends. But when you confront him, he says, "You're overthinking." That's not a lover. That's a liar wrapped in good looks. Now flip the script. Imagine a man who doesn't post thirst traps, who doesn't show off his car, who doesn't charm you with lines, but with actions. He checks on you after your job interview. He remembers your favorite song. He notices when you're quiet. He doesn't have a six-pack, but he holds space for you like you're sacred. That man may not be everyone's definition of sexy, but he is safe. And safety is the sexiest thing in this chaotic world. Here's the thing. You can buy beauty, but loyalty, that's earned. It's built. It's shaped in silence. Loyalty is when he chooses you again and again, even when you're not at your best. It's when he doesn't get distracted by new faces. It's when he guards the relationship like it's his greatest investment. Think of the woman who gave her everything to the handsome guy. She bought gifts, made sacrifices, changed herself. But he kept cheating. Why? Because his beauty was a mask, and her love couldn't fix what his heart refused to grow. Now think of the same woman meeting someone unexpected. A man who listens, a man who stands by her through grief, growth, and chaos. Not a model, not rich, but real. And guess what? She finally sleeps peacefully at night, not wondering if she's being replaced. Loyalty doesn't perform, it protects. It doesn't post about love, it proves it in silence. It shows up during your worst week, not just your best photo. You can't fake loyalty because it shows up under pressure. When money's tight, when life's hard, when other options walk in. Loyalty is tested in darkness, not daylight. That's why the man who isn't flashy but consistent is often overlooked. Until you realize he's the one who never made you question your worth. He's the one who made love feel like peace, not paranoia. A man's beauty might catch your eye, but his loyalty is what keeps your soul from shattering. Because what's the point of loving a masterpiece if it treats you like you're replaceable? If you keep falling for looks, you'll keep getting played. And worse, you'll keep confusing pain for passion. Every time a man flashes that charming smile, smooth talk, a jawline that could cut glass, you fall. You fall fast. And every time you fall for that surface level attraction, you end up rising alone. Again, heartbroken. Again, disappointed. Again. Because the outside is polished, but the inside, hollow. Let's be real. The world trained you to chase what looks good, not what feels right. Disney gave you the prince, Instagram gave you filters, music gave you toxic lyrics and called it love. But none of that taught you to see through a man, to see past the skin and into the soul. So now every time a good-looking man shows interest, your brain says he's the one. But your heart, it ends up bleeding. Because you didn't ask, can he stay when things get ugly? You only asked, does he look good on my arm? Remember the last guy? Yeah, him. The one who made you laugh on the first date, posted you for the stories, kissed you like he meant forever, but then disappeared when life got real. That's what happens when you pick men based on packaging. Just because it's beautifully wrapped doesn't mean it holds anything valuable inside. The most toxic men often look the most tempting. That's their weapon. They use beauty to distract, to confuse, to dominate your emotions and vanish when you get too close to the truth. Now think of your friend, the one who said, "He's not even that attractive, but I feel seen." You laughed at first, but 2 years later, she's glowing. Why? Because she chose substance over style. Because she understood one powerful truth. Good looks won't hold your hand when you're crying at 2 a.m. Good looks won't pick you up from the hospital. Good looks won't help you build a life, but a good heart will. Every single time you ignore red flags because he's attractive, you're signing up for lessons in disguise. That man who ignores your texts for hours, who flirts with other girls in your presence, who makes you doubt your worth but tells you you're the prettiest thing he's ever seen, that's not love. That's manipulation with a pretty face. And if you keep falling for that, life will keep teaching you the same lesson until you learn to choose differently. You want proof? Look at celebrities. Look at models. Look at all the couples who looked perfect on the outside and still fell apart. Beauty does not build loyalty. It does not create emotional safety. It does not raise kids with love or hold you together when you're falling apart. The men who are truly rare, they might not turn heads in a crowd, but they turn up when you need them most. They aren't chasing attention. They're chasing alignment. Let's go deeper. That man you overlooked because he was too simple? The one who didn't have six-pack abs or Gucci slides? He would have made you his world. He would have protected your heart like treasure. But you were too focused on aesthetics. So you didn't notice the man who could have given you peace instead of chaos. Your standard is your self-worth in disguise. It's the invisible line that tells the world how you expect to be treated. Every time you say, "It's okay, I'll accept this," when you really want more, you're not being kind, you're being silent about your own value. You see, your standards are not just a list, they're a mirror. They reflect how much or how little you believe you deserve. Let me give you a real-life example. A woman once dated a man who barely called, rarely showed up, and only made an effort when he thought he might lose her. But she kept staying. She kept forgiving. She kept lowering the bar, thinking maybe love means sacrifice. But the truth? She wasn't sacrificing for love. She was sacrificing herself for the illusion of love. Her standard was telling him, "I don't believe I'm worthy of consistency, of effort, of being prioritized." Here's the raw truth. You attract what you settle for. If you let a man ghost you for 3 days and then slide back in with a "hey," and you respond like nothing happened, you're telling him, "You don't need to respect me, just show up when it's convenient." Your standard just told him, your worth is negotiable. And once a man learns that, he plays the game like he's already won. Think about the times you were firm, the moment you said, "I won't be treated like this," and walked away. Remember how powerful you felt? That wasn't just strength, that was self-respect. Screaming through your standards. When you refuse to lower the bar for temporary attention, you're not being cold, you're being clear. You're sending a message. Stopped texting first every time. She stopped justifying disrespect. At first, people called her too much, but eventually the wrong ones fell away. And then, the right one came. He met her where she stood, because her standards had filtered out the noise. She didn't raise her voice, she raised her vibe. And that shifted everything. Your standard is not what you post online, it's what you allow behind closed doors. It's not the quotes you share, it's the behavior you tolerate. It's not what you say you want, it's what you settle for in silence. And when you accept less than you deserve, you're not being patient, you're being passive with your power that says, I'm not here to beg, I'm not here to compete, I'm not here to be picked. I am the prize. Standards are boundaries with a backbone. They're not walls that push people away, they're gates that guard your peace. Imagine you walk into a luxury store. Everything is high priced, no discounts, no desperate sales. Why? Because the brand knows its value. Now imagine a dollar store. Everything is on clearance. People come, take, toss and leave. The difference isn't in the items, it's in the standard. Your life, your heart, your energy, they deserve luxury level treatment. But you have to price yourself accordingly. Let's talk about a woman who leveled up. She stopped accepting last-minute plans. Only insecure women compete for a man's attention. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't fight for a seat at a table she built. Let that sink in. If you ever find yourself comparing your beauty, your body, your value to another woman just to win a man, pause. You're not in love. You're in a battle for validation. And that battle always ends in heartbreak. A secure woman doesn't care if another woman is prettier, curvier, younger, louder, or more his type, because she knows that the right man will never put her in a position to question her place. The moment a man makes you feel like you're one of many, not his only, is the moment you need to exit, not engage. Real queens don't compete. Only insecure women compete for a man's attention. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't fight for a seat at a table she built. Let that sink in. If you ever find yourself comparing your beauty, your body, your value to another woman just to win a man, pause. You're not in love. You're in a battle for validation. And that battle always ends in heartbreak. A secure woman doesn't care if another woman is prettier, curvier, younger, louder, or more his type, because she knows that the right man will never put her in a position to question her place. The moment a man makes you feel like you're one of many, not his only, is the moment you need to exit, not engage. Real queens don't compete. They look at the strongest women. They're not cold, they're calibrated. They don't chase, they choose. And they're not heartless. They've just decided that their heart is sacred, not a playground. When you understand this, your standard rises. And when your standard rises, your life starts to reflect the love, respect, and peace you've been craving. You can't expect kings to enter when you keep opening the door for clowns. And you can't blame others for disrespecting you when you keep giving them permission through lowered standards. So ask yourself, what are you really saying with your standards. Because they're not just rules, they're loud declarations of what you believe you're worth. And the world listens. Elevate. They walk. They choose peace over proving. Let me tell you about Maya. She was in a situationship with a man who wasn't ready for labels. But he was ready to flirt with other girls, like their pictures, comment fire emojis, and make her feel like she had to earn his focus every day. So what did she do? She tried harder, changed her style, posted thirst traps, got into silent battles with women she didn't even know, all to keep a man who couldn't even keep a promise. That's not love. That's spiritual self-abandonment. And it starts with insecurity. Because when you don't believe you're enough, you overextend, you overcompensate, and you end up emotionally bankrupt. Elevate. They walk. They choose peace over proving. Let me tell you about Maya. She was in a situationship with a man who wasn't ready for labels. But he was ready to flirt with other girls, like their pictures, comment fire emojis, and make her feel like she had to earn his focus every day. So what did she do? She tried harder, changed her style, posted thirst traps, got into silent battles with women she didn't even know, all to keep a man who couldn't even keep a promise. That's not love. That's spiritual self-abandonment. And it starts with insecurity. Because when you don't believe you're enough, you overextend, you overcompensate, and you end up emotionally bankrupt. Now contrast that with Alina. She was dating a guy who suddenly got distant. She didn't stalk his socials. She didn't ask who that new girl was. She didn't text paragraphs trying to explain why she deserved to be chosen. She simply said, if your focus is split, I'm not staying. I'm not your option. I'm someone's only. That's power. That's what self-worth looks like in action. She didn't compete. She dismissed herself from the competition. Because listen carefully. A man who makes you feel like you have to compete for his attention is already telling you he doesn't see your value. He's not confused. He's comfortable knowing you'll fight for crumbs while he serves the cake to someone else. And the truth is, the moment you fight another woman for a man, you've already lost. Not to her, but to yourself. You've allowed someone else's indecision to disrupt your dignity. A confident woman doesn't raise her voice to be heard. Her silence echoes. Her absence speaks volumes. She knows if a man can't recognize her worth, it's not her job to teach him. It's her cue to leave. Because she's not an audition. She's the headline. Let's be real, the world glorifies competition. Reality shows, love triangles, songs that say, she took my man. But in reality, the moment you have to fight another woman for a man's loyalty is the moment you realize. He was never yours, and no crown is worth losing your character. You can't win a man who doesn't want to be kept. And if he's giving you reasons to doubt your place, he's not the one. The strongest women don't chase attention. They command it without trying. Not through drama, but through energy, through presence, through knowing exactly who they are, even when others try to shake it. And when another woman tries to provoke them, they don't clap back, they walk back. Because no secure woman entertains disrespect disguised as flirtation. A man who truly loves you won't let another woman believe she has a chance. And a woman who truly loves herself won't allow herself to beg for reassurance. So if you ever feel like you're in competition, stop and ask, why am I trying to prove I'm better when I'm already enough? Real men don't flash their beauty, they show their backbone. Because what makes a man unforgettable isn't the symmetry of his face or the way his shirt fits his body. It's the way he handles pressure. It's the way he stands up when everyone else sits down. It's the way he treats people when there's nothing to gain. Strength isn't found in jawlines, it's in character. And while beauty can catch your eye, backbone holds your life together. Let me tell you something about surface level attraction. It fades. You could meet a man who looks like he stepped out of a fashion magazine. Perfect smile, expensive shoes, smooth words. But the moment life tests you, that beauty becomes irrelevant. Because when bills are due, when stress hits the roof, when emotions run wild, abs don't help. Sharp jawline can't carry a broken home. But a man with a backbone, he's the anchor. He doesn't crumble, he doesn't run. He protects. He provides emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Remember the story of Anaya? She dated a man who had all the looks. Social media perfect. Friends envied her. But every time she cried, he disappeared. Every time she needed support, he had excuses. She realized she was in love with a frame, not a foundation. He looked good beside her in photos, but he left her empty in real life. And one day she stopped choosing aesthetics and started choosing alignment. Contrast that with the story of Lena. She met a man who didn't have the flash, no expensive car, no brand obsession. But when her father got sick, he stayed up with her all night. He asked how she was holding up when she didn't even know what to say. He made her laugh when the world felt heavy. He didn't show off, he showed up. That's the kind of beauty you can't filter. That's the kind of man who turns into a forever. You want a man whose strength isn't in his flex, but in his faithfulness. A man who doesn't need to shout his worth because his actions scream it. The real kind of sexy? It's when a man keeps his word. It's when he respects women in rooms where no one's watching. It's when he calms storms with presence, not performance. That's backbone. And that's rare. We live in a time where men are taught to polish their image more than their integrity. But expensive car, no brand obsession. But when her father got sick, he stayed up with her all night. He asked how she was holding up when she didn't even know what to say. He made her laugh when the world felt heavy. He didn't show off, he showed up. That's the kind of beauty you can't filter. That's the kind of man who turns into a flask forever. You want a man whose strength isn't in his flex, but in his faithfulness. A man who doesn't need to shout his worth. because his actions scream it. The real kind of sexy? It's when a man keeps his word. It's when he respects women in rooms where no one's watching. It's when he calms storms with presence, not performance. That's backbone. And that's rare. We live in a time where men are taught to polish their image more than their integrity. But there's something divine about a man who has nothing to prove, but everything to give. He doesn't flash his wealth. He creates emotional safety. He doesn't compete with you. He uplifts you. He doesn't hide behind ego. He leads with empathy. That's a man with backbone. And that kind of man doesn't need filters to shine. His light comes from within. His beauty is not in his body. It's in his backbone. So now ask yourself this. What are you really falling for? His face or his foundation? His style or his spirit? Because looks can lure you, but they can never lead you. And if you keep chasing the sparkle, you'll keep getting burned by the flame. But the moment you start recognizing that real strength comes from within, not from the mirror, not from the gym, not from the flash of a car or the cut of a suit, that's the moment you'll stop entertaining boys who perform and start attracting men who protect. You've been told your whole life to find someone tall, dark, and handsome. But let me tell you something revolutionary. Loyal, consistent, and emotionally intelligent are the real things worth chasing. Looks fade, muscles soften, but character, it matures, it deepens, it multiplies its value with time. That's what you build a kingdom on. Don't settle for a man who looks good standing next to you in photos. Choose the one who looks out for you when nobody else is watching. Because when life hits, and trust me, it will, you won't be asking for his abs, you'll be begging for his backbone. You'll want the man who stays calm in chaos, who listens when you're silent, who holds your hand when you're screaming inside. And that kind of man, you don't find him by looking at his face, you find him by reading his soul. There's a reason fairy tales talk about princes, not pretty boys. A prince protects his queen. He doesn't compete with her, he doesn't manipulate her. He doesn't confuse her. And most importantly, he doesn't disappear when she needs him the most. Real men aren't loud. They're present. They don't impress with noise. They impress with consistency. And the man who speaks less but acts more, that's the one whose love will echo through your life. Stop falling for men who light up your phone but leave your heart in darkness. If present when it's convenient, if his love comes with conditions, if you constantly question your worth around him, he's not the one. You weren't born to beg. You weren't built to compete. You weren't designed to shrink so someone else could shine. Start choosing differently. Choose the man who doesn't just compliment your beauty but respects your mind. The one who doesn't just stare at you but sees you. the broken parts, the healing scars, the unspoken fears, and stays anyway. That's the kind of man who doesn't just show up when he's needed, he stays even when he's not. You are not here to impress. You are here to express. Express your standards. Express your self-respect. Express your boundaries. Because the moment you lower your standards for the sake of a man, you've already taught him how to treat you like an option. And you, my dear, are not one. Listen to me. Stop asking, am I enough for him? And start asking, is he even worthy of me? The crown you carry wasn't given to you to chase peasants. It was placed on you because you were born royal. Not in bloodline, but in spirit. Remember this. A pretty face can open the door, but only a strong soul can build a home. You don't need a man who looks good in the sunlight. You need one who stands